My husband, who is 33, and I, a 24-year-old female, have been married for 5 years. Long before we met, when I was a teenager, my mom's house caught fire, burning everything down and tragically killing my childhood cat. I remember my mom and brother waking me up, shouting, "Fire, fire, get up, get up." We crawled up beneath the smoke, and thankfully, our neighbors had already called the fire department, who rescued us. We lost everything and were devastated. Even though it was years ago, the memory still terrifies me. I constantly check outlets, the stove, candles, and anything else that could start a fire. My husband knows this about me. 2 nights ago, I went to bed early since I'm 34 weeks pregnant and practically ready to give birth. I had been asleep for a while when, for some reason, my husband decided to wake me up by yelling, "Baby, there's a fire, 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 get up." As quickly as I could at 34 weeks pregnant, I got up, grabbed my purse, and went into autopilot. I knew what I needed to do and rushed down the stairs, expecting my husband to follow. But then, he started laughing, telling me it was just a joke. It took a moment for that to sink in. I stood there, mouth open, while he continued to laugh and led me down the rest of the stairs. I sat on the couch and just broke down, sobbing harder than I ever have before. I couldn't stop. My whole body was shaking, my heart was racing, and I couldn't breathe. I had never experienced such panic before. I was utterly devastated. My husband apologized, saying, "Oh my God, I'm sorry, it was just a joke." But I couldn't stop crying. Eventually, he got frustrated and said, "What the heck, it was just a prank. You're being so dramatic." After a few hours, I managed to calm down and went to apologize to him. He wouldn't accept it and insisted I was being overly dramatic and made him feel terrible over a harmless prank. So, I guess I'm the idiot here. I've never been good at taking jokes, and I've been trying to be less sensitive, but I don't know. You went to apologize to him? You were in a tragic event and have been mentally preparing for something like this just in case. That's some PTSD, but also a normal reaction. He took advantage of your fear. You're not the idiot, but your husband owes you a massive apology. Even if you didn't have serious trauma around fires, this wasn't a funny prank to play on anyone, especially someone heavily pregnant. What the heck is wrong with your husband? Her husband not only owes her a massive apology, he needs to grow up. That wasn't a prank. He knew he was causing her pain. He knew her history with fire and chose to use that knowledge to cause her harm for his own entertainment. Sis, how often are you the butt of his jokes? Even once is too many times. More to the point, why are you with him? He has the maturity of a teenager. Do you honestly think he's quality spouse or dad material? Of course, she apologized. She was 19 when she started dating a 28-year-old. This is likely the smallest of his abuses. It just hit her harder because of pregnancy hormones coupled with PTSD. She's been in an abusive relationship all along and still doesn't see it. Hopefully, many internet strangers can help her open her eyes and get out before it's too late. The kid will keep them in each other's lives, but it's better to get out than stay in. She was 19 when they got married. I bet this guy showed up at her 18th birthday party. There's a reason a 28-year-old married a 19-year-old. No woman his age would take his crap. Who knows how long they even dated? He might have gone after her when she was underage. Opie seriously needs to get away from this guy, like yesterday. I bought a house in a community without an HOA because I wanted my home to be my own, including making it look the way I wanted. I also chose a neighborhood with fun, colorful houses instead of just plain earth tones. I finally got to the point where I could repaint my house. I picked a soft peachy color with sage blue and soft and dark pink accents. It's fun and colorful without being too out there. If you Google blue, sage, and peach colors, you'll see a similar palette. My neighbor Paul hates it and has been complaining about it since we started the project. He also made it known that he hates our front lawn, which has lots of wildflowers and sunflowers, fun garden flags, a little free library, etc. Every time, I've told him that I don't care. Honestly, I don't. I've suggested a few times that maybe he'd be happier in an HOA community that controls everything and forces people into earth-toned homes. Paul got angry when I suggested that, and said he's lived in his house for 15 years and shouldn't have to move. I told him, okay, well, you'll have to learn to live with a bit of color. Last weekend, I was putting in pavers that my niece and I had painted together. They're all things like ladybugs, turtles, birds, etc., in fun colors. I adore them, and my niece is so excited that she'll be a part of my home. Paul came over to complain yet again, saying that it was all an eyesore. My niece was there, so I just told him, it's time for you to grow up and get over what I'm doing with my house. He got even crankier and told me that I had no right to talk to him that way. Do you know who you're talking to? He asked. I told him to just go away and get a life. He stormed off, calling me a nasty piece of work. My niece was cracking up on the side. For the record, no one in my family is uptight. We really don't care about cursing. She's a teen, but I'm sure she says worse. Anyway, one of the other neighbors came to tell me that Paul's been flapping his yap about how disrespectful I am. She said she knew he was a pain but that he'd been in the neighborhood forever, so it was worth being nice to him. I don't know, is telling him to get a life that big of a deal? Am I the idiot? The house's color scheme sounds gorgeous, something we'd have here in our Inman Park neighborhood. Your neighbor is more upset about the kitschy items in your front yard than the color of your house. Maybe you need some pink flamingos, Paul. It is Paul, right? I want to make sure I know who I'm talking to. I'm going to make a deal with you. Whenever you complain about my house or yard, I'll add 2 pink flamingos to the decor. Every week you go without complaining, I'll take 1 flamingo down. If I hear you've been talking about me to the neighbors, more is coming out onto the porch. Some giant gnomes would be great companions to the flamingos. They have gnomes for all seasons too. OP, some people just don't understand when you try to be polite with them. So it's not your fault you told him to screw off, it's his fault. I bet other people would just fall down on their knees and praise this neighbor, doing whatever he wants. Yeah, right. He comes harassing you, and you need to be nice? Riddle me that one. If the neighbor who suggested you be nice has any tips on how to keep this blowhard out of your face and off your property, that would be more helpful than the kids' it's both your fault advice. It may take 2 to fight, but he's the only one creating the situation. You can't walk away. It's your house, so he is actively seeking conflict but is offended that he's called out. You do you, and you are not the idiot. I, a 25-year-old female, am getting married to my fiancé, a 26-year-old male, next year. He's my stepsister Chloe's ex-boyfriend. I know I'll get flamed for that, but I won't even defend it. The context is that Chloe and my fiancé got together when they were 16 and dated for a few weeks. He broke up with her and asked me out. I was a teen then, and we've been together ever since. I could throw out a million excuses or mitigating factors, but I won't. It just boils down to that I cared about him more than I cared about Chloe. We were never close or considered each other family. I apologized to Chloe, and in the years before she moved out, I never brought my fiancé to our house. I never expected Chloe to forgive me. I probably wouldn't if I were her. Chloe never spoke to me again beyond a greeting if we were in the same space. I moved out at 18, so except for Christmas, I barely see Chloe anymore. Still, I sent her a courtesy invite to the wedding, knowing it would mean a lot to my stepdad. I didn't expect her to come, and I would have been fine if she didn't. I just put it out there. Instead, I got a message on Instagram from Chloe, angrily accusing me of pressuring her to attend. I reassured her there was no obligation, but she insisted that now she looks bad if she doesn't come, making me the bigger person. My stepdad and his family have been urging her to drop this grudge for years, and it's caused some tension. I'm not sure what else I could have done. A friend said inviting her was harsh, but not inviting her would have been worse, especially since it would hurt my stepdad, who is contributing a lot to the wedding. I'm not saying Chloe has to come, but I don't think I'm in the wrong for offering the option, especially since her siblings, cousins, and dad will be there. Honestly, Chloe needs to get over it. They dated for just a few weeks in high school, 10 years ago. No reasonable adult would even consider that person an ex in the context of a wedding. Chloe seems to know this too, based on her comments about me putting myself in a position to be the bigger person. If she were truly mature, she could have politely declined the invitation, but instead, she reacted the opposite way. I believe I did all I could, giving her the option not to come, but Chloe is also right in her way. She's chosen to go low or no contact, for whatever her reasons are. While an invitation is not a summons, it does show that I'm not accepting her desire to cut ties, even if it wasn't my intention. So either I didn't invite her and look bad to my stepfather, or I invited her, and she looks bad for declining. I chose the latter, understanding it may just be that she never wanted a stepsister, didn't want her dad remarried, and used this as an excuse. My parents seem to want this perfect blended family where everyone gets along, so she's had a decade of pressure to conform. But you are wrong to say I'm the idiot. Chloe has made it clear she wants nothing to do with me, but apparently, having my stepdad pay for my wedding is more important than respecting Chloe's wishes. Let me clarify that I'm 26 years old, but I've never felt young in my life. I'm a mother of 3, a kindergartner, a young grammar schooler, and a preschooler. I got married at 19, and my ex-husband was 29 at the time. Right after I gave birth to my youngest, we separated and later divorced due to his abuse. I was terrified he might eventually hurt our children too. Leaving him was the hardest thing I've ever done, but it was the best decision for my kids. That was 4 years ago, and since then, I've built a decent life for myself. My children and I live in a house in my dream city. I have a wonderful job as a nurse with a bachelor's degree, and I'm happier than I've ever been. I've reconnected with my dad, whom my children were never allowed to meet before, and they adore him. My dad even teared up when they called him Pop Pop for the first time. Recently, I met a man, let's call him John. He's 28, very charming, kind, has a great job, and doesn't mind that I'm a mother, which is rare for men my age. This was crucial for me because my children are my world. John has one child who's almost a tween. We haven't introduced our kids to each other yet, as we agreed to wait a year. We've been dating for about 10 months now, and it's getting close to the time when we'd consider introductions. The other day, we were talking about our future, and the topic of marriage and children came up. I told him I'm not opposed to getting married again if it makes sense, but I don't want more children. I explained my reasons: 1. The cost. 2. I'm tired of being pregnant. I was basically pregnant for 4 years straight, had high-risk pregnancies all 4 times, one resulting in a loss. And 3. My kids are older now, and I feel like we're finally moving out of the baby stage. John was upset. He told me he always imagined having a child with the person he marries, even though he already has one. He said it's important to him. I asked him if in this scenario, with me, he's ready to have 5 children, and if he's fully prepared for that. He said it's not uncommon and was offended. He eventually told me that not wanting another kid is a deal breaker for him. I said fine, that really sucks, but I'm not changing my mind. I make decent money as a nurse, but 5 kids are just too much. He ended the conversation by saying, I don't know why you care about money so much when your ex pays child support. He also said that not wanting a child with him means I'm not serious about the relationship. Am I wrong for this? Is wanting another kid so important to people who already have 4 between them? I don't think I'm wrong. It's easy for him to say he wants another child. He's not the one who has to go through pregnancy and all the risks and difficulties that come with it. From his attitude, I'm guessing he won't be a very hands-on dad, considering how flippant he is about the whole situation. I think this is a blessing in disguise because we got out before the kids were involved. He sounds like an adult on the outside but is a sulky baby inside, lashing out when he didn't get what he wanted. I'm sorry, but what was a promising relationship is now ending, and I'm better off for it. Never stay with someone whose first reaction to disappointment is to try to hurt you. I'll say more, never stay with someone who asks you to risk your life for their expectations. You've had 4 high-risk pregnancies. If that's not enough of an argument, nothing will be. It's a huge red flag. Now, onto something else. I'm a 20-year-old female enrolled in a laundry program at school, where I pay a lump sum, and they do my laundry all year. It's very popular at my university, and they pick it up from my dorm weekly. My friend, a 21-year-old female, is oddly obsessed with this and constantly comments on it. She always comes over, sees my laundry bags, and makes some remark. She'll say things like, "How could anyone pay for that?" I always respond, "Why would I do something I don't want to if I can pay someone else to do it?" I wonder if she's like this with everyone, which would explain why she has few friends. Almost everyone I know uses the laundry program. Her unsolicited comments make me like her less. She did it again recently, saying, "What a waste of money! The laundry program is ridiculously expensive, and no one can afford that." I said I don't find it expensive at all. You think it's expensive because you're poor. I'm not, so I'll keep paying for it. Now she's furious that I called her poor, but it's just a fact. Am I the idiot here? Everyone's in the wrong. She's clearly jealous and resentful, and you're unempathetic, snotty, and lacking the wisdom to handle this gracefully. Pointing out someone's lack of resources isn't kind. Did you earn that money, or do your parents pay for it? I'm surprised you have any friends, honestly. The number of times I've argued with people about their privilege, and their defense is always, "My parents worked hard for it." That's precisely why you're privileged. You didn't do the work. I agree your friend shouldn't make these comments, but I also wonder in what context they arise and if you escalated the situation. I once sat with fellow students lamenting the rising cost of housing, and one kid chimed in with, "Well, that's all nice, but rich people have difficulties too. My parents have an indoor pool, and our contractor still hasn't figured out how to eliminate the chlorine smell in the house. Everyone was too dumbfounded to respond, so we pretended it was never said. Over the holidays, I was with my cousins, and one was complaining that her parents were upset with their 6-bedroom house that has a gym, pool, movie theater, and cabana house where the maid lives. Apparently it's an awful house, not the mom's style, and she's miserable. It made me want to vomit. You're the idiot, Opie. Life will give you a reality check eventually. You've been fortunate enough to have generous parents supporting you, but not everyone is as lucky. Be sensitive and kind because life always comes full circle.